What's going on, everyone? It's the Halfback here, back with episode number 26 of Rising Above Adversity, A.F.C. Bournemouth. Now, the first thing you may be wondering is why have I played out the rest of our fixtures when I said at the end of the episode that I would possibly bring you 2 live comms or at least 1 live comm at the end of the season. Now, let me explain my reasons behind this. So, after we played Swansea, we went to Old Trafford and we drew 0-0. Now, I said I expected to get no points from these away games against Liverpool and Man United. It was a backs against the wall performance against Man United. They battered us, but we held strong and got a fantastic point at Old Trafford against Manchester United. And then we played Liverpool. This could have been really ugly. They were 4-0 up at half time, but we managed to kind of make ourselves a lot stronger at the back for the second half and even scored twice, Irving on Gender getting a brace. Now, at this point, even though we lost this Liverpool game, we were effectively safe. We were 6 points clear of Burnley, who were in the last relegation spot. We had a much stronger goal difference than them. So, in my opinion, if I had live commed either QPR or Aston Villa, I would have been bringing you a game that meant absolutely nothing. And I didn't want to bring you a game that would have been boring to watch, had nothing riding on it. So I decided to play out the remaining fixtures and then come and talk to you guys about how the season's gone and my future plans. So I'll show you the league table. We finished up in 15th place, a step back from last year. Of course, we finished in 14th. So you have to say that it has been a bit of a disappointing season. I mean, to preserve our Premier League status is obviously a fantastic thing, but I was really expecting us to push up the table this year, especially with the signings that we made in the summer. But it feels like it feels like I underestimated the strength of particularly our defence going into the season, and that's cost us. You can see we conceded 72 goals this season. The fourth highest there? I think it's the 4th highest amount of goals conceded by a team. We scored 66 though, pretty much down to one man. You can see there, Irving on Gender, 33 goals he finished up with in the league. Played every single game, or made an appearance in every single game. Started all but one game in the league this season. But we've got a little bit of a problem now, as you would expect. He's valued at 16 million. He's only on 20k a week, and this is the problem. It seems like Irving on Gender is currently the most sought after prospect in Europe. Look at the clubs who want him: Man City, Arsenal, Inter Milan. Some big names in there that want him. He's already kicking up a fuss about going to Arsenal. I told him to basically shut your mouth. You're not going anywhere. But, of course, you remember we bought him for 4.5 million. If we get a bid of 30 million plus, can I realistically turn that down for a player that we bought for 4.5 million just a year ago? We remember we done a similar deal, well, not as big, but when we bought Thomas Callas in our first season in the Premier League for 3.5 million from Chelsea. We sold him back to Chelsea a year later for 30.5 million. So, if the money's there, if the money's right, then we may sell Irving on Gender. Of course, I want to keep him. 33 goals in the league. He saved us pretty much single-handedly. Without them goals, we would have been really struggling to stay up this year. So, yeah, I'm really undecided at the moment. Of course, his decision's just ended, so I don't have to think about that too much just yet. But yeah, that's something to come back on. Of course, I'll let you guys know how that develops over the summer. But let's have a look at quickly the squad. If we look at some of the average ratings, of course, Irving on Gender at the top there. Nikusa Stanku having a fantastic first season for us. You remember we signed him. His value shot up to 10.5 million. No interest in him, but I'm sure there will be some clubs knocking on the door. But if we just look at the squad as a whole, I don't need to mention it again. You know the area that we need to strengthen in. We need to strengthen in the defence. I kind of want to bring in a more experienced centre-back. That's what I'm kind of looking to do. So far, since we've been in the Premier League, we haven't had a defender, who's been there and done it in the Premier League, who's, someone who can guide along the younger players, particularly Lee Sung-yong, who's made great strides this season. At the back of the end of the season, I've been giving him a lot of starts in the Premier League, and he could be one who's good. He will be certainly playing a lot of games next season. You can see he made 13 appearances for the first team in his first season, scored a goal with an average rating of 7.8. So the future looks very bright for Lee Sung-yong. Very, very excited. Of course, we signed him for 1.3 million last summer. But yeah, defensively, we need to strengthen. That is going to be my aim for the summer. We're going to be moving on to quite a few players. You can see, look, we've got so many average players on the bench, and it might be this summer that we move on a lot of the players that we had in the Championship. Now, I've stayed loyal to a lot of these players. If I just talk through the likes of, if we look through Harry Arter, done brilliant for us in the Championship, was alright for us last year. He's just not going to cut it anymore. Maybe I'll keep him around as a decent squad option. I mean, he's not terrible, but is he the level that we're aspiring to get to? Not really. So we'll see what happens with Harry Arter over the summer. I really don't want to overhaul the squad too much. I don't want to be a situation what we had last summer where we're bringing in, 10 odd players in, and it just disrupts the team cohesion, really. Maybe that was one of our issues this season. Maybe we brought in too many players. They couldn't gel together. They took time to gel together, and that's why we struggled. Maybe that was the case. But again, some of these other players that I'll look to, Simon Francis has been a good servant for us, but just not good enough anymore. We're going to look to move him on, 32 years old. And then there's a few more. Will Keane, you haven't heard much of him this season, and it's really unfortunate for him, really. He had a fantastic year for us last season, scored I think 16 goals in the Premier League, and he's kind of been just pushed to the curb this year. But with the change in system, playing one up front and Hervin on gender being that man up front, you can understand why Will Keane has not been able to get that much game time this year. On gender, of course, has just been completely undroppable, with the likes of Jelle Vossen and Callum Wilson as well in the team, who hasn't featured that much this year. These guys have kind of struggled to get game time this year. Looking at some other players, Danny Wilson, another one, maybe a decent backup option, so I may look to keep him around. But again, I'm not too sure. Of course, the season's literally just finished, so I kind of really need to sit down, look at each individual player, and what their role will be going into the future, if they do have a role at the club, in my opinion. But again, one deal to talk about very early on. It's happened already. Going out, Mauricio Isla will be joining Palmeiras in Brazil for 5 million. So you remember we signed him for 1.5 in the summer. He will be going to Palmeiras for 5 million. He kind of, not forced the move, but he kind of did force the move. He came to me and said, basically, Palmeiras are playing in the Copa Libertadores, which is, of course, the Champions League in South America, and he wanted to go and join them for £5 million. He's 28. We've made a good profit on him. He had a good season for us after having a difficult start, but, I'm not too disappointed to see him leave. I'm sure there'll be a kind of younger replacement out there that we can bring in. But that's kind of it for, I my words are going all over the place. That's it for now in terms of the squad. I've not made too many plans just yet. That's why I'm not saying anything more about it. But there it is. That is the season done and dusted. I'll probably bring you some of the awards in this episode, so the episode is not going to be finished just yet. But that is it. 15th in the Premier League for Bournemouth. I'm hoping next year that we can push ourselves up the table. If we can make some improvements to the defence, I'm going to say it now, I really believe that we can start pushing right up in the top half, in and around the European places. That might sound a bit crazy considering we've just finished 15th. But for me, if we can keep on gender, we can improve the defence, then there's no reason why we cannot be in the top half challenging for Europe next season. So I'm gonna leave it here for now, and we'll join you guys when the awards are being handed out for the season. So the first bit of post-season awards news to bring you is that Ongenda has been named the Footballer's Right Footballer of the Year. Was to be expected, really. An incredible season, as you guys already know. 33 goals in 38 games, and this season's performance has put him on illustrious lists with the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, and Scott Parker. That really happened? Okay. Yeah, well, anyway, Hervin Ongenda, Footballer's Writer of the Year. Excellent season, still very early on in the summer, so again, his future has not been decided yet. So of course I'll bring you news on that, as it develops, well, when it develops anyway. But I do have some more news to bring you, and it is this. Yes, the plans for the new stadium have finally been announced by the board. It seems like forever since I initially requested the new stadium. We've been waiting on the details of it, and here it is. The creatively named Bournemouth Stadium will cost 37 million, and it will be ready in just over 2 years' time. Very exciting stuff. We'll have a capacity of around 24,718, and it's just a real sign that the club is heading, in the right direction. We're heading, forward. We're moving. We're improving as a club, and yeah, just very, very exciting stuff. But I'm probably going to leave it now for this episode. I know I didn't bring you a game, and it was kind of a structureless episode. But, if you did enjoy it, do drop it a like. It would help me out a lot. But for now, it's been the Halfback, and I'll see you guys in a bit.